Hey, good morning, everyone. I thought I'd hop on here for a quick second to do a demonstration on some more color mixing today. Uh, I think this is one of the best ways to get to know your colors, and today I'm just going to be playing with some violets. I'm going to arm myself with a brush real quick here. Decisions, just something to wet and get color down on the board. And I am going to be taking you through some mixtures of reds and violets. And while we make these today, um, I like using dioxazine. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera there. Let me reset that real quick. All right, I like using and having dioxazine purple and mineral violet in my list. And just a little side note, it's usually on my palette here. That's what dioxazine purple looks like. I'll blend this down a little bit. And mineral violet, I think I have two different violets here, has a slightly reddish tone to it. And you can see right here the cool notes in that dioxazine violet and in this work. Now, today I have my paper set up. I'm going to be using mostly Holbein watercolors. I do have a couple of other ones on here, two Blocks watercolors and Da Vinci watercolors. You can see my paper set up. I do have my ultramarine blue. Again, a nice cool blue and this one is by Blocks. Clean that brush off real good. And I do have my Blocks blue that I'm actually going to put here. I forgot to label this one. It's got a little blue-green note to it. Again, great for airiness. My Magnese blue, just a gorgeous, gorgeous summertime blue from Holbein. Right here. Uh-oh. I put that where I did more. Okay, that's okay. I'll put my Magnese blue here. And again, just a quick little note of pulling back and looking at how that plays. Now, when I make color charts like this, I do like to see and think about how my colors play. I do have some phthalo blue here. Again, that's going to have a little blue-green mix. My Prussian blue, which I'm going to put right here. And again, that's nice and strong this morning. Just move that around with a little water. Now, these little color block tests, again, are things I like to do to play with and doodle with and make sure I kind of have some good color tests. So like right now, this is Da Vinci Alizarin Crimson. It's going to have a kind of violet-y note to it, like a red violet. This is permanent red. I'm going to be using cadmium red light. I have this fresh out of the tube this morning, so you can see that almost tube-like. Look at that right out of the tube. Nice, bright, bold. Going to give that a quick little spread with a dot of water. It's got like a reddish orange hue to it. Reddish orange cast. It's a warm, warm, warm red, the cadmiums. And I am playing with Holbein's permanent red, and this is great for a good all-around strong red color. If you want like fire engine red, this is it. All right, so I have the two samples of the violets painted in here so you can see them, but mixing violets we know probably back from kindergarten through middle school through elementary school, and an art teacher is like, oh, red and blue make violet. And we're going to explore some of those different violets here. So for example, if I take my ultramarine blue, which is my first blue I'm going to encounter, I'm going to make a nice generous puddle of this over here on my palette. Let me move this over so you can see what I'm doing. All right, hopefully we can see the palette a little better there. All right, so I'm going to take this ultramarine blue. I'm going to get some of my cad red, throw it in an empty space over here so that I can mix a couple of violets in here. And you're going to see this almost turned brownish. Now I'm trying to use on this one equal parts of ultramarine and cadmium, and you can see it kind of turned into this almost brownish color. Now that's the oranges in the cadmium. The orange kind of cast gives a blue, kind of a cool little mix here. And again, I'm gonna try to play with this so that you could see. I'll put a little more cadmium in this and lean it toward the cadmium side. And then I'm going to put a little more ultramarine blue. And just give a little kind of tonal range on where this goes. So this is more blue, a little more of the red on the other side. And you can see the range of tone. Now that looks kind of dull. That's going to dry a lot later too, because the watercolors, again, when they dry, they're going to be nice and well mixed. They're going to get nice and light. And then with a well watered down piece, you can already see some of the colors pulling back here on my swatch. All right, let's take this cadmium, and now we're going to mix it. I have some of my phthalo blue from Holbein over here in this puddle. And same thing, you're going to see this gets kind of brownish looking on the palette. And right there, that cadmium red made a kind of brown. It's almost like a shadow on a skin tone with this blue. Sorry, it's my Magnese blue. So we'll just put a little arrow right there. So the Magnese blue mixing in here. Sorry for the little hiccup there. And then a little more toward the orange side on this one. I'm going to try, my water's going to get dirty as anything on this color because I'm going to be mixing. It almost mixes again to like a warm burnt orange kind of color. And that's what cadmium does. It has a property like a red orange. And yeah, for those of us who are in the color theory, if you know that you mix two, if you mix two complementary colors, such as blue and orange, or blue and a blue, a violet and a red orange, you might get a brownish kind of note. And that's what cadmium is doing to these blues here. I am going to take in this, again, this is my blocks blue. And I am going to take, again, the same kind of cadmium mix in here and bring these together. You're going to see that that gets kind of grayish. And that's just what the color does. That's all. That's a red and a blocks blue mix right here. That's almost like a shadow on a skin tone. All right, I do need to do some Prussian blue. I'm going to wake up Prussian blue and put them in this well over here. Throw some cadmium red in the mix here. You already see that almost has a feeling of Davies gray right there. I'm going to lean this a little bit more in the cadmium direction. And you can see the grays that's almost turning into. It's got a little more cadmium in it, so it might look a little warmer. Let's see if I could be touch dramatic here. Gonna try not to, because sometimes when I do this, I contaminate my work. And now for my phthalo blue, which is right here. I'm just gonna put a nice little mixture of that there. And take some of this. Don't want to contaminate that too much. All right, and this here is my phthalo blue, and I'll put the phthalo blue mix right here. Little cad in there. And the blue green in this is really gonna play like a complement. So you can see that the color almost looks broken. It's not making a real violet at all. And that's a red and blue mix. So you got cadmium red light with these different blues. And you can see the way they almost have a grayish note to them. So next on deck, I'm going to play with the Holbein red. The Holbein red is a kind of nice bright red. And we're going to throw some ultramarine into this. I think I am going to clean up. I don't like to waste paint like this, but I am going to clean up a little mixing area. Pull that out of there. Love watercolor. Get a little stain from some of the colors in these palettes, but a little damp water, you can pretty easily clean out your palette. So I'm going to try to get some of that out of there. You're going to need some more Bounty here. Quicker picker-upper. Should do commercials for Bounty as a watercolor artist. I'm going to play with this red and blue mix now. And again, just a few minutes here. Let me put my manganese here. A little bit of phthalo. I'm going to try not to let that mix. I'm going to put this over here. And of course down here, some Prussian blue. Now, for people who really want to know how you get different things, again, playing with little color theories, little color sketches like this does get you playing with the color. So now I'm going to take this permanent red, mix that with my ultramarine. Now this is going to have a gorgeous violet. This almost looks like a mineral violet. Look at that beautiful purple that this is getting in there. Praying to God I have enough light. Over here. Excuse me a minute. All right. Hopefully I'm not putting a shadow on here. Look at that beautiful violet that this is making. And if I get a little more blue in here, lean it toward a blue violet, I think that permanent red has that traditional red and violet, red and blue mixed violet. That beautiful cool violet that we got from mixing it with the ultramarine. And again, going a little closer to the red. And you can see that kind of nice crimson-like color that mixture made. Again, some of the colors we play with can be mixed and played with in a way that you get these violets. Now I do like to keep the more popular, like a dioxazine violet and a mineral violet in my set because I use them a lot. But the mixtures here are kind of nice for your violets. I'm going to go now into my phthalo. And I just pulled some red into this mixing well. Hopefully I don't make a hot mess over here. Oh, look at that beautiful violet-like color. Hope I got enough color in here, a little more than water. We'll mix that with the phthalo blue. I got a nice deep violet here. And if I lean this more toward phthalo, and hopefully you can see a little change in there. And now more toward that permanent red. These violets, again, just gorgeous, gorgeous mixtures. If I was painting a sunset, wanted some sight shifts with a sky or some reflection on some water, those phthalo mixes might have some beautiful, beautiful work. My manganese is next. I know this is going to make a nice violet. Might have a little more red into this blue. But here's my manganese blue. And Again, we're going to lean that more toward the red. Hopefully you get that. Let's see if I can knock some color off there in the paint. There we go. I'll steal just a little more red here. And then going toward that blue side a little bit, you can see the changes when I play with the permanent red into the blue. Look at that, just another little coat. Prussian blue. We'll throw some permanent red in this mixture. And again, right away to a nice, deep looking violet. That's my Prussian blue and my permanent red right there. Probably a little more toward the red. A little more toward the blue. Nice and deep because of the blue-green in there. I try not to contaminate color here. Now the Prussian blue is going to be pretty strong, I think, compared to the red. Usually reds are very strong to mix into, but look at that Prussian blue. That's got a ton of red in it. Just a tiny bit of blue in there. Okay. Oh, and finally, my blocks blue experiment over here. Again, with some permanent red. This should make a really nice looking violet too. Steal some red here. I'm gonna leave room to do the last one, which is a alizarin crimson. Another popular red to use. All right. Got a good equal mixture. And again, this is the blocks blue. I am going to try to wet this a little bit. Move that around with a little bit of water. There we go. The beautiful mixture. Beautiful violet. And these violets are just great, again, for flowers, sunsets, moody skies, shadows. So if you're making sometimes shadows when you're painting outside have kind of a violet cast to them. We're going to lean again, just like in all the other exercises, a little bit more toward the blue. How that changes. And again, that's the phthalo red, a good. I'm sorry, the permanent red with the blocks blue. The Holbein colors are playing very well with the blocks colors too, and I think the pigment loads in them are pretty good. Holbein maybe a little bit better for me than the blocks, but that's a story for another time. All right, let's clean this out a little bit. Getting pretty dirty over there. I am going to try my last experiment here, which is to mix alizarin crimson with these violets. And I woke up some alizarin crimson just for this. This is all fresh out of the tube today. And the crimson, you can see, already has kind of a reddish violet cast right there. And now, if I mix this, with my ultramarine blue, I'm going to weight the ultramarine blue up a little bit more. I'm going to hopefully not steal any of that violet puddle there. We got this nice violet here. And that's the alizarin crimson. I'm going to take a little more red on that end, just pull that right in there. You can see the red violet that makes. Pull that back with some water too. And again, a little bit more toward the blue. I'm going to put this up here instead of letting it. Yeah, I'll put that final mixture there. Good, deep, cool violet from the crimson and the blue. Now we're going to take some of the alizarin here, mix it with the phthalo, and the phthalo's going to have a color like this. A little touch of water to bring that together. I'm a little dry on my brush. I'm painting on a, to just throw this out there today, I am painting on a Fabriano book of multimedia paper. I'm not too worried about how the water's going to play in this one. I'm just getting, yeah, look at that blue. That's changing. I'll say again, some of these blues and crimsons are going to take just a little bit to play with that mix. Next, I'm going to go with Prussian blue. Take some of this crimson, put it in the Prussian blue. Oh, what a deep violet that is. All right, we'll put that down there. That's roughly equal mixtures. And again, we'll gear this a little bit closer to the red. Sorry, I went to the wrong side there. I don't think it matters. It's a color study anyway. Fix that by putting some more blue on it. And then over here, just leaning a little bit more toward more phthalo blue and less crimson. There's some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cool violets in there. It's almost like a dioxazine violet mix, I think. All right, now the final one. Playing with my alizarin crimson and my blocks blue. Again, that blocks blue being almost similar in nature to, I'm going to mix that right there. Hopefully that doesn't form a puddle of crazy. Nice, beautiful violet in there. Now, hopefully these colors are reading well. I'm going to go a little more crimson on this one. And then, again, a little bit more blue on the left there. And there's little colors, these nice violets in here. You don't really need, you could mix a good variety of violets using different types of red. Again, you can see how these are changing with the, you can see how these are changing with the type of chosen blue versus the reds. I love little color studies like this. I forgot to do the Magnese blue. This might get a little grayish. Okay. Make that up with color. I keep telling you, I got thicker paint on this color study today. There we go. Yep. That kind of grayish color in there with that Magnese blue. It's a cool little violet right there. We'll pull it more toward the crimson. And have a nice little transition here into the blue itself. I'm trying to keep my paint clean so that my brushes and my paints, I'm trying not to contest. Sometimes when I do this, I end up contaminating my colors in my wells. And with the watercolors, sometimes I don't go overly crazy about this, but there we go. Nice little violet happening there. And we can see again, just some different types of violet in here. And what you would choose to do with them would be up to you. Depending on what color you're really going for and how you mix it, I'm going to take some of that blocks blue mix and there's some violet in there. So it's like almost like a dirt red. I put some cadmium red in that. So depending on the mixtures of violet that you decide to play with, or the types of red you make, you can get all different mixtures. Again, some of these reds, yeah, there is a, even though that we know red and, even though we know that red and violet, red and blue make violet. And we can see on the list of cadmiums here how those are kind of gray and brown. The Holbein red holds up as a good kind of primary red, and you get a beautiful series of violets in there. And the alizarin crimson's got a nice little feel to it and gives you a good little series in there too. Anyway, thanks for watching my color mixing here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please, and subscribe to the channel to watch more. Thank you and goodbye.